Well, hello, Canada, and hello, world. Welcome back to Late Night Scrolling. Well, I just got back from the McCarrol World Tour. I have so much to say. Just kidding. This is the Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie special. When we talk about Canadian success stories, when we talk about what it means to be a modern Canadian filmmaker, you don't have to look much further than the one and only Matt Johnson, who is the director behind Blackberry and is now releasing one of the most awaited films in Canadian cinematic history. I'm of course talking about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which has been one of my most anticipated Canadian films of ever. Not even of the past year, like literally of all time. I have so much lore to fill you guys in on, so let's get into it. Nirvana, the band, started as a web series 18 years ago. How many web series can you name from 18 years ago that still have legs today? Okay, it started as a web show with Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrol, as sported on my t-shirt. And the whole point of the web series is these two guys in Toronto trying to book a show at the Rivalry, which is one of the most famous live music locations on Queen Street West. The web series evolved into a show, Nirvana, the band, the show, for Viceland. And now we have it as a movie. And to tell you a little bit more about the evolution of that moment to now, I'm going to toss it to me back in September, the night before its release at the Toronto International Film Festival. So take it away, Liz, from a few months ago.
Since 2006, there's only been one movie that matters to Midnight Madness fans, and it's finally here, as in it exists. They finally made it. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Let's walk and talk about it. So in 2006, Matt and Jay make this little web series show that takes off instant cult classic, okay? Translate 10 years later, Nirvana, the band becomes Nirvana, the band, the show. Translate 8 years later, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is premiering in that theater tomorrow night, the first Midnight Madness of TIFF 2025. And you're wondering, Liz, why does all this matter? Well, I'll tell you why this matters. A, because I finally get to do my cosplay of Matt from the show. But more importantly than that, this is a show that proves that anything from the internet that Canadians make can translate to the biggest screens in the country. We're talking web series to TV show funded by Viceland, funded to a movie between Telefilm and Elevation Pictures. Do you know the last time a movie premiering at TIFF only was funded by Telefilm and Elevation Pictures? What's that? It's because it's never happened, and it's happening tomorrow night for the very first time. Royal Alexandra Theatre, we will see the absolute madness that is a Back to the Future style time travel journey where the band, who is still trying to get their show at the Rivalry, which we've seen time and time again in the series, you know, something goes astray with these guys. They're going to be time traveling, trying to figure out how to get back to current day. Seems like we're getting clips from the series that have never been aired. It seems like they've gone back into the archives with their editors to pull together the puzzle of the ultimate show for people that have watched the series for as long as I have. And I will say, this is a show that has torn improv groups across the nation apart. Okay, we're talking the backbone of millennial internet comedy in Canada was made from shows like this. And to see it finally on the big screen, well, I'm scared to see how many improv troupe group chats reunite tomorrow night to talk about what the fuck is going to go down with these guys. Because I'll tell you one thing, when you put Matt Johnson in a TIFF premiere, it's going to cause some conversation. The last time we saw Matt in a theater like this, well, actually, it's going to be 2 hours before the Nirvana premiere because, yes, this is also the most exciting double feature of the whole weekend, and it's on day one of TIFF because Mile End Kicks is premiering tomorrow night, directed by Chandler Levac. You love Chandler because you love movies, and Chandler's first debut film, I Like Movies, also premiered here and won a bunch of Canadian Screen Awards. You remember my coverage from back in the day. So we're seeing Mile End Kicks first, same theater tomorrow night. You know the drill, Matt Johnson, executive producer, but also star Barbie Ferreira, also executive producer on that film. In the theater, we all turn around, come outside, get a breath of fresh air, and it's Midnight Madness time. It's Nirvana time. It's go time, people. And not only that, we're talking 20 millimeters of rain hitting these theaters tomorrow night. So we're going to be soaking wet on the streets of TIFF, seeing a movie 18 years in the making. And not only that, we'll be on the red carpet for all of it. So we'll see you tomorrow night for the movie that I truly flew to Toronto to see. So you boys better not let me down.
Okay, so let's get into the premiere itself because, y'all, I had the time of my life. Okay, this was, I think, the opening day of TIFF. Okay, I was lucky enough to be accepted to the red carpet for Mile End Kicks, which is another Canadian film by director Chandler Levac. This is her second movie. Her first movie, I Like Movies, received a bunch of Canadian Screen Awards. It's a really phenomenal film. You can stream it on Netflix. She was bringing this second film starring Barbie Ferreira, who you know from Euphoria. And it's a story of this girl who goes to Montreal to write a book about Alanis Morissette, and she ends up involved with like this band. And it's just a great like coming of age story about the music scene in Montreal. I keep saying it's like the Canadian Lady Bird. It's just such a good film. Matt Johnson also executive produced that film. So go back to the opening night of TIFF with me. You're on the red carpet for Mile End Kicks. Matt Johnson is coming down the red carpet, obviously, because he's an executive producer of the film. So when I saw him on the Mile End Kicks carpet, I was like, I've got questions that I don't think you're going to have time to answer in a few hours when your next movie is up. So why don't we have a chat now? And y'all, I have been sitting on and saving this conversation with Matt for this moment, because if you don't know, Matt's got a lot of really cool projects in the works, a lot in development. He's got a lot he's shooting. So let's get into the tea with Matt Johnson on the red carpet about everything that he is working on to give you a sense of just how big his career is about to boom.
Nice to see you again.
You too.
How do you feel about Matt Johnson double feature opening TIFF this year? Mile End Kicks to Nirvana.
It's great. I think it's very well suited. Canadiana. I'm happy that we're screening at the same theater. I'm very supportive of Chandler, and I hope this goes very well for her.
Did you happen to see the Hollywood Reporter earlier today, the misprint about Mile End Kicks? They put a completely different summary than what the film's actually about.
What did they say it was about?
They said it was a Toronto-based film about a soccer club.
You know what? That is the title would make more sense.
What made you want to executive produce this film for Chandler?
I was forced to by my business partner.
Great, that's a great business decision. Which one?
My only one, Matt Miller. He's right behind me.
Great. Well, thank you, Max. It's a great film, and I think
You saw it?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's
Oh, good.
fucking fantastic. I loved it, and I loved all the 2011 Easter eggs that we saw in there, all the fashion, all the moments that made it feel really baked in that era.
That's why I'm wearing this.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is this a reference to 2011?
This is a combination of that and it's a Red Hood Jason Todd outfit, because I'm directing the new Jason Todd movie starring Dominic Sessa.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that too. You're getting to all my questions. This is great. How is that going, and what's it like working with Dominic?
Love Dominic.
Yeah.
We are going to start the Jason Todd movie. It's a Batman movie, all from the perspective of Robin.
Genius.
And Robin dies as the break into Act 2, and we never break perspective. So you're with Jason Todd as he dies. And we don't leave. We stay with him. So are you a Jason Todd fan? Do you know the comics?
I have read a lot of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this movie will blow your mind.
Already blowing my mind.
Yeah, see what?
Get the shot. Get the shot.
Our designer built this.
It's genius. I've got one more rumor I have to ask you about. Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Anything happening there? Rumors that you're being called in to maybe take over that film, maybe take a look at it?
Well, there's no film yet to take over, but I think they got announced that I'm making that movie already. It wasn't a rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
in the middle of writing it right now with two really smart writers from America.
Genius. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think you're gonna fucking crush it.
We'll see.
Congratulations.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Amazing.
I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan.
Yeah. As am I.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to eat it up. I was thrilled, and it was when the rumors dropped that you were looking at it. I was crossing my fingers it was true. So I'm glad that it's like confirmed you're writing it. You're in.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
really gonna like this movie.
Ah, thank God. Yes.
Yeah, you'll
Okay.
be really happy.
I'm back for Nirvana, so I'm going to ask you more on the carpet. Then
I'll
I
be
don't.
here.
I don't want to eat all of your time. Other people.
No,
want to
no,
say hi,
don't
but,
feel bad.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you again.
It was good seeing you again.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you in like 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so as of today, we don't have a release date yet for any of these new projects that he's working on. I think the first we're going to be hearing about is going to be Tony, which is the Anthony Bourdain biopic starring Dominic Sessa as Bourdain. I think that might be done shooting now, but don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on it. But I'm excited to see that film and all of the others he's working on. I think he's going to shoot somewhere very cool very soon, so I hear. It's been incredible to talk to Matt so much over the years. We had a chance to talk at the Palm Springs International Film Festival at the end of all of the press and appearances in the festival circuit for Blackberry. I've spoken to him at the Canadian Screen Awards. I've spoken to him with Jay Baruchel. Like, I've just been so lucky to have witness to his career in this insane moment when the world was looking at Canadian film and had this story, Blackberry, to look at, and now has Nirvana to look at, because it's such a success. And Matt is so generous with the way that he shares how he thinks about our industry and about our star system and about how we make films. Because Nirvana is a story that he and Jay have been telling for so long, for 18 years. And he really decided at the Berlin International Film Festival when they brought Blackberry to the festival that they were going to go for it and make Nirvana the band, the show, the movie. And it had so many different iterations. There were so many different versions of what this movie was going to be. It was going to be taking place outside of Canada at one point. It was going to be a traveling kind of thing where they were traveling around the world and having these experiences. And then there were all these different versions of what the film could have been. And eventually they landed on bringing it back home to Toronto and really leaning on this incredible archive of footage that they had from all these different iterations of the show. And they hired a team of editors to help them go through the archive. And actually what they did was they gave this team of editors the footage and said, y'all go through all of this and find what you think we can use to thread through to this movie. And truly a heroic effort by these editors allowed them to do that. And we had a small and short chance to talk about exactly this on the red carpet for Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie at TIFF. So I'm going to play that clip for you now.
Okay, you've said in season 2, I think it's the buddy episode, was one of the favorite things you've ever directed. Was there a moment in this film that you loved directing more than that episode?
Actually, that's not true. It's not that The Buddy's my favorite thing I've ever done. It's not that I like directing it. It was torture direct. This movie was torture direct. I do not like this movie more than that episode of the show.
Hey, and what about you? What do you think?
Yes, The Buddy was amazing. I liked the
ROM episode.
the ROM episode where we get to do a lot of Indiana Jones
Is
stuff.
this movie? This
And
movie
you know what?
must be better to you. For
Well,
you
this
than the ROM.
movie is in that same vein where we get to channel real old school Spielberg, Alan Silvestri
Yes.
stuff, and so yeah, that's fun.
Amazing. And your editors did heroic work gathering all the archival footage. One word about the editors and how important they were to this film.
They're beyond important. In fact, they have more to do with the narrative thrust of the film than Jay or I do. Because really, what Jay and I do is we hand them a
feed
ton of
them.
material,
Yeah.
and they ultimately decide what is compelling to them. And so they aren't really trying to follow our taste; they're following their own taste, which is really a unique situation for editors to be in. And this is an editor's medium, like Nirvana the band I'm talking about is an editor's medium, and they Kurt Lobb specifically, but now Bobby Upchurch in his own right as well, have defined the tone of the show. It really is their work that we're watching, and it takes a ton of pressure off Jay and I, because it means that we can relax and have fun, and because we know we're in great hands.
Okay, can we just pause to say that whole night was insane. Okay, you have to remember that we're coming out of the Mile and Kicks premiere. We're on the red carpet doing these interviews for Nirvana, and then the guys show up in this incredible van that is just like the one from the movie. It's completely insane. There's fans lining the streets that have been following this story forever. Like, when I think about all the Midnight Madnesses and premieres I've done at TIFF, it just stands out to me. It is such a cool moment for Canadian indie work, because that's how this all started, was Jay and Matt in a very small team and a very small budget doing a web series of something that they thought was worth pursuing. And now it's like premiering on the opening Midnight Madness of TIFF. I wouldn't have wanted the festival to open any other way. And guys, the movie is so funny. I cannot spoil it for you, and I also can't express enough how good this film is. If you watch the trailer, it's going to seem off the wall bananas insane, and it is. But the thing that really, I have goosebumps talking about this. The thing that really makes Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie so special is how Canadian and how local it feels to Toronto. If you know Canada, if you know Toronto, even like vaguely, if you've visited the high tourist spots a few times, you're going to see sites and streets that you've walked on that you know. And if you're from Toronto, you're going to intimately know the jokes of this movie and all the little, subtext that they weave through it. But one of the things that I found so beautiful about the way they portray Canada in this film, not just in the jokes and the throwbacks that only a Canadian could truly understand, was how, Toronto's changed so much since Nirvana, the band, the show, since 18 years ago. And I want to toss to this clip from the red carpet with Roz and Mocha, who make an appearance in the film, where they talk about, the changes to the city and how this movie really captures something special.
I don't think you can make a Toronto movie without a cameo from you two, so I'm thrilled that you're in the film. How did it feel to be asked to come in and be a part of this?
It was, I don't know, it was weird, but also I just felt like very proud of the show. And the scene was legit, like we just freestyled everything. We were told what the scene was going to be about, said, here's where it is in the movie, here's who the character is, here's what he's going through, you guys go do your thing. And we did our thing, and it was exciting. It was good. It was really good. Fun.
Yeah, it was, and it was pitched exactly like that. Like, it's a movie very much about Toronto, and they were like, we couldn't do this movie. We really want you guys in it, which is incredibly flattering. But we've been doing the show 16 years now, and I think that the thing that just keeps surprising us over and over and over again is that when you find out, when kids were little listening to the show, and then they grow up and they're still fans of the show, but some of them are like super famous, and they do great things like this movie. And like Simu Liu is a huge fan of the show. Stefan James grew up listening to the show.
Yo,
Kevin
Alessia
Alves.
Cara?
Alessia Cara is like our girl. Like, her mom listens every day. So it's one of those things of where you don't realize the impact that we have, and then we can contribute to something like this that has a massive impact. And it impacts us more than I think that they even know. I know Matt was really appreciative that we did it, but the opportunity to do it and be a part of this, especially when somebody pitched it as, we're doing this and it's like a love letter to the city and we want you guys to be a part of it, it's really just the greatest compliment that anyone has ever given.
Absolutely.
Well, you're part of the fabric of the city, so it only makes sense that you'd be part of the fabric of the film. I'd love to know your take on where this film fits in the Toronto film landscape. Like, if fans are a fan of Toronto, if people are fans of Toronto film, where does this film fall in the mix?
So so the thing for me, which is incredible, is that all those years ago in the early 2000s, they could have attached themselves to anything because this city has changed so much. And I think it's almost some sort of divine intervention that we're here tonight. And when you look at Queen Street, every single thing has changed, but the one thing that hasn't is the goddamn Rivoli. Which I don't know if they would have been able to make this movie without it. And it's still there. And so I think that, like, as much as they love the city, I think that the city is like throwing so much love back.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I just think it really is like a love letter to Toronto and all things that people love about the city, and just like feel so nostalgic about, and just to be a part of these moments that are in the movie with all these like landmarks and brands and things in the city that people know and love. It's great. It's great.
God, what a pleasure to talk to those guys. I mean, when you think about the great voices of Toronto and of Canadian radio in general, you think of them. So cool to have a chance to talk to them about this one. I truly can't set this interview up anymore without going into complete spoiler territory for the film. So I just want to say that I had a chance to talk to Matt and Jay just a few days ago in the lead up to the film hitting theaters this weekend, Valentine's Day weekend, across Canada. And I have to say, if you are deciding what to see at the theaters this weekend, or you're trying to land on Valentine's Day plans and you love comedy, whether you have someone to go with or you want to treat yourself to a day out, you will have the time of your life seeing this movie. It is hysterical. It is feel good. You will have a spit take of whatever fountain drink you purchase. Like, you will leave with a bellyache from laughing so hard. And I just think in this moment when Canadian pop culture is kind of on the rise and we're embracing all the things that make Canada so unique, this film could not come at a more perfect time. So whether you're going to bring a plus one or go by yourself, I think you absolutely need to see this one in theaters. You need to experience it with other Canadians because it is worth seeing on the big screen. It is worth laughing with other people. And I think it's such a beautiful communal experience to see this one specifically right now in this moment when Canada is really hugging itself and embracing its own pop culture. So with that said, here's my interview with Matt and Jay setting up the film releasing in theaters this weekend. Oh, sorry, one more thing before I throw it. So there was a technical difficulty at the very end of this interview, so it kind of cuts a little bit funny, but with that said, enjoy the interview. Can we start with the Exclaim cover of you guys doing Heated Rivalry?
Yes, actually, we shot that before Heated Rivalry was announced as a show. So that's just really good luck.
Really good luck. I mean, the face and everything, Jay, you're really giving a run for Ilya's money there.
Thank you. I think I told you I was. You're a Heated Rivalry fan, I can tell.
They're right behind me. They're
Look
always
at
here.
Wow.
Looks like
That's
a
great.
record.
That's
They're
great.
they're always
Wow.
here, and it's all the fans want to talk about. So I have to ask, in a world where Nirvana and Heated Rivalry get to cross over for Heated Rivalry season 2, do you have a pitch? Do you have an angle you want to come in on? What's the play?
We shot a Heated Rivalry episode in two. Season 2, episode 1 of our
Yeah.
television series is literally a Heated Rivalry episode.
Yeah.
So anybody who is interested to see what that crossover looks like, it has been shot and exists right now.
Perfect. Excellent. I was so excited to see the crossover because I think this is probably the coolest moment Canadian pop culture's had in a hot second, right? Like the whole world wants to look at Canada, what we're building, what we're doing. And you guys have been so instrumental in the past few years creating products and pieces of art that people are invested in and want to talk about and watch. So I wonder, what's your take on this moment and everyone having their eyes on Canada? What's the 101 that people should know about what's going on here?
It reminds me of when the Raptors won and when Rob Ford was on Jimmy Kimmel's show and Bautista flipped the bat and Drake was respectable. That was a great time. It was about a decade ago, and it seems like Canada has this 10-year cycle when all of a sudden we get to come back into the collective unconscious, and I hope that this time we use it well.
I think that there's an opportunity here for people to really get into the archives of what we've been building, not just right now, but for a minute. Blackberry was also a door for that, where we saw people kind of come in and remember how great Jay is as an actor. People were going into his archive, and there's been so many touch points like that. Is there a moment in the last few years, is there something underrated that you think deserves the spotlight? We need to bring it back.
Oh, wow. Like you're talking about Canadian culture writ large. I wish we could bring Rob Ford back from the dead.
I wish we could bring Much Music back.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it would be amazing to see
Yeah.
Rob Ford zombie VJ.
There we go.
He's a little bit like Tarzan Dan.
Yeah.
He's a little bit like Tarzan Dan
Mhm.
or Nicholas Pickles.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Video and Arcade Top 10 with the Ford family as Nicholas Pickles, the other, I forget the name of the main host. It's letter time. It's letter time. Or the other one where they would show the clips.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
They
I feel
still
like-
have In the Zone with YTV, right?
Oh my God. No.
No? Is that all
That
gone?
was that was a
Zone?
banger.
Yeah, I thought that was just
Yeah.
like something I wasn't attuned to anymore because I'm not
No,
a kid
it's
anymore.
gone. They finished that a few years ago. And
Yeah,
so
I think
many
YTV
greats
is
were on
now
the zone.
just lists stocks.
Everybody does.
Yeah. Everything's Bloomberg at the end of the day. I love it. That was Priyanka's show, The Zone, and now Priyanka's one of our biggest cultural exports. So, I mean, the pipeline of star talent from The Zone is everything.
Yes.
We've had a chance over the last few years to talk at various points and on various carpets about this industry and the state that Canadian creation's in. And one thing that's really stuck with me over our conversations has been the idea of role models and how, there was a moment when we didn't have role models in our system and it was harder to see people that were actively doing things that were breaking borders. Now we're in a moment when it feels like there's lots of places to look to and different kinds of art to look to. And I wonder, when you think about the people that are going to be watching this movie, and they get to see Toronto on the big screen and they get to see Canadian comedy on the big screen, what do you think the next generation needs to think about when they're thinking about the art that they want to make?
That it's really theirs to take.
Yeah.
I think that we live in a very permission-based culture. It's very Canadian to think that you're not allowed to do certain things. And I think that if Nirvana the band has any message at all, it is that you should be going out and doing this irrespective of what people are telling you can and can't do.
The way we got started with Nirvana the band was that we only put down in front of us what was really truly in front of us, so that we didn't have to manifest anything or invent anything. We worked with what our real lives, what our real truth was to us. And I think that long runway of keeping one foot in the door of honesty and sincerity helps you to become a better writer and performer.
Like Tom Green.
Like Tom Green. Yeah.
And Tom Green's doing interesting stuff now. He's really taken the come back to Canada and build where you want to build seriously. He's shooting some stuff not just in the downtown core, but off in his own ranch, right? I think that's also exciting.
America destroyed him. America chewed him up and literally spat him back. Yeah, he was.
We took him back though, and now he's a role model for what
What
he's
choice
doing.
did we have? Of course, but he was mandibleized. He was basically digested. The first stomach of the cow.
Yeah.
Mm.
In a lot of ways, the what do you call it? Like precautionary tale almost of like, don't forget where you're from, don't forget where you belong.
That's a beautiful way to say it. That's a beautiful way to say it.
But
Cautionary.
also maybe a comeback story.
Time will tell. We'll see. We'll see. He's
Yeah.
got a lot of life left.
I'm rooting for him.
Me too. I love Tom. Well, as I said, he was one of our biggest
He's
influences.
big. He's big for us.
Oh my God, who is he not big for if you study Canadian comedy, if you look at what this scene has turned into? I have one more question I have to get to with you guys since we have a full minute to talk about it and we're not like at the TIFF premiere in the middle of the carpet. It's so interesting how this film was made in terms of telefilm, kind of opening the door and letting you guys play. And I know that that's like just one sentence to describe a very complicated and long process and relationship. But, not a lot of films can say they had that kind of relationship to be made in Canada. So I just wonder, when you think about funding Canadian film, what do you think Nirvana means for the next generation of filmmakers in terms of what you can ask for and what you can try to build for yourself?
It's well said that when I was getting out of film school, I never thought in a million years. In fact, Nirvana the band was created as a kind of antidote to what I saw the country making in terms of their federal funding. And now that this is actually being filmed, is saying nothing other than I must be so out of touch with what kids actually care about that I am deluded. And so hopefully somebody watching this can think, hey, maybe I can move towards that same level of delusion. I hope that watching a movie like this makes young people view the Canadian funding system as accessible to them. Because when I was a kid, I thought, no, like there's no way. I won't even apply. I won't even think about asking. But not only has telefilm changed in terms of how small of a project they're willing to finance, but if the barrier to you getting financing is your unwillingness to go out and ask, that's a big problem. So be brave. Be brave. We too were once scared little kids, not thinking that what we were doing had any meaning. And look at us now.
You guys, this movie means so much to so many of us that have watched this from the series to the show to the film. So I'm excited to see it for the 5th time now on the big screen with all my friends. It's going to be a blast.
And we'll see you at the next red carpet.
Oh, hey, I'll be there. After you guys see the movie, I need you to come back and love on the J. McCarrol World Tour t-shirt. Truly one of the funniest Easter eggs ever. I'm also so excited to style this. I think there's going to be some upcoming opportunities, at least at the movie theater, but maybe in a few other places. Maybe I'll bring it back to TIFF this year. I will be wearing this loudly and proudly. God, what a special episode this is, because not only do I get to talk about one of my favorite Canadian movies and web to TV to movie franchises in Nirvana the band, but I also get to share with you one of my favorite TV shows, which is Allegiance. If you're a true crime, Law and Order, even if you're like a Grey's Anatomy style lover of TV, okay, you want an hour to sit down and just get lost in some drama, in some tea, in some crime, really something to sink your teeth into, you must tap in to Allegiance on CBC Gem. This show, it's not a sleeper hit because it won big at the Canadian Screen Awards, okay? So tap into that first and foremost. But I feel like we don't give enough love to the procedurals in Canada as viewers. Okay, it's so easy to tap into like the big ones coming out of the States. No. If you're loving 911 Lone Star, all the 911 franchises, if you're loving Grey's Anatomy, if you love Law and Order, like all of these shows, please tap into Allegiance with me, because truly, me and my friends that watch Allegiance, we are so locked in, and the group chat could not be popping even more. Like I said, season 3 is streaming now, and one of the cool things about what's happening right now, when you get to season 3 of a show and it just hits a little bit different, Allegiance season 3 is hitting different, y'all. It's giving love triangle. It's giving like our lead, Sabrina, is really dealing with her shit and really evolving as a human, and we love to see it. The crimes they're solving, the plots we're getting into, oh my God, gives me anxiety. I need the episodes to always end on a happy beat. They don't always, but when we do, oh my God, I'm breathing a sigh of relief. And when they don't, I've got my group chat and I've got my bowl of ice cream to dig into to really unpack what we saw. So I was so happy that the lead herself, the reigning Canadian Screen Award winner for Best Lead Actor in a Drama, Supinder Wraich wanted to join us at Late Night Scrolling. I love Supinder so much. She has the best energy ever. She is so kind. She is so giving, but she's also such a commanding actor. And when you see her in Allegiance, it's like she is such a star. I cannot explain enough how much I think she is like one of the most valuable and precious actors that we have. Like, we need to protect her at all costs. And also I need her to be the #1 superstar in the world because she deserves it. She is so good at what she does. She is such a great lead on this show. And I just wanted to talk to her about how we got to season 3, where Sabrina's at today, and there's just so much that's happening in this show that we got to get into. So some light spoilers ahead, but also the spoilers might convince you to get the binge watch down. So if you haven't watched Allegiance, I think this conversation is still for you because you're about to fall in love with one of the greatest people we have in the industry. I'm going to toss it over to my conversation with Supinder Wraich.
I feel like every generation has an emotional support girly pop cop that they watch on TV. Mariska Hargitay being one, and I feel like Sabrina is Canada's favorite detective solving crimes, and I'm so glad that we have her on TV right now. She's the girl boss of all girl bosses, and I'm so glad that you're here to talk all about it with me.
Thank you. I will say mine was probably Missy from Rookie Blue. And
Yes.
so I'm happy to join the ranks. So thanks.
Join the ranks. You are like the awarded best lead actor, the reigning queen, quite literally on paper until May. How has your year as our reigning best lead actor been? Have you been seeing your people? How have you been reigning your kingdom?
Do you know what? It was really fun to go back to set and shoot season 3 after the CSA win. Only because Rico also won for Best Supporting. And it was really just affirming that whatever we're doing on the show is meaningful and real. You know, sometimes it feels amazing on set, especially when you have that kind of chemistry and you find those kind of moments and you put your heart out there. And the fact that it's resonating with viewers in terms of our chemistry, in terms of the things that we're trying to imbue as artists into this series, it felt really rewarding. It felt really reassuring.
And I mean, both of your speeches, you and Enrico, because he won first, right? He won, and then your win came at the main broadcast. But his speech, I feel like, had the whole room laughing in tears. It was so emotional. It was the perfect moment.
Like holding our breath. I think there was like, because I was like, oh my God, what is he going to say? He's so unpredictable. He's so, off the cuff. And I think there was a line where he was like, if you lost tonight, if you're one of the losers, like, put up your hand. And it was like, 95% of the audience, because that's what happens at awards shows. And it was a wonderful, meaningful speech that I will never forget.
And then you got to follow it right up at the main broadcast with your own speech, which was also equally as like emotional and funny. And I feel like there's an open loop we need to close about the speech, because you start off by saying you did not fly your family out because you didn't think you were going to win and that you owed them dinner. So did your family get their dinner with you? What happened after you won?
Yeah, they did. And they were just like, especially my brother, because he was like, dude, you're going to win. And I was like, no, well, also because if you look at the other nominees, it was stacked.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember sitting, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but I remember sitting in the audience and the people, the announcers, I saw them open the piece of paper and just like take a beat. And in that beat, because I've seen that look on like teachers' faces, attendance lists, and I was like, oh, it's either me or Mako, because we have the hardest names to say. And so it was kind of revving up, and I was like, oh God, what am I going to say? Because I really didn't think I was going to win. And yes, since I have made dinner for my family, I don't think I took them out, but I made dinner. So.
Okay, I love that. No, you still had a moment to celebrate.
Yeah, just as good. I think they ended up taking me out because they're lovely and I'm loved. Yeah.
Oh, I love to hear it. I feel like they're never going to miss a Canadian Screen Awards ever again, no matter what you say.
Although I will say, I'm pretty sure if there's a nomination for Allegiance and for me, it will be stolen by Hudson Williams. And I'm happy to acquiesce that title.
You got in before the heated rivalry takeover of the Canadian Screen Awards.
Yes. Because this year I think it's airing on all 3 networks.
Yes.
Which is brand new and so exciting.
Huge. Isn't it so exciting?
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels different.
It feels different. It makes me really excited for this country, what really the show has done. It's so good. It's so brave. It's so authentic, and yeah, I'm very excited about everything that's to follow.
I have to know, even though nominations aren't out yet, so I'm not trying to jump the gun on this, but you are kind of the fashion icon. You slayed the carpet last year. Your look was so good. Are we thinking about dresses and outfits for this year? Where are we going?
No, we're not there yet.
Okay, we're not there yet.
I don't count my chickens before they hatch or how many eggs I have or whatever. Nope.
Nope, I love it. Okay, we will ask you again in like maybe a few weeks. We'll see what happens. But you are a fashion icon. The looks have been looking this year. I mean, your Instagram, come on.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had a lot of help. I've had a lot of help from a lot of talented people. And so, yeah.
What is it about fashion that speaks to you? What's the vibe behind the scenes as you're planning all of your looks? Because I mean, you're going premiere outfits, you're going press junket outfits, and it's just hit after hit from you. I'm loving it.
Oh yeah, that Shermajor suit, that goal. Oh, I know. God, you know what, Liz? I don't consider myself like a fashion girly, really, which is kind of strange. I just like to feel beautiful. Which is really what I think it is. Like I don't know that I'm on the trends or whatever. I just, if I'm going to something or if I'm going out, I want to feel like $1,000,000. And so I put in the effort to find the designers and find the pieces. So that way when I'm there, I can fully be in that moment instead of being like, oh, I don't like this, or I should have spent more time on this. So I think it's just time in and research for those events. I mean, like you have those dates probably like a month or two in advance, so there's some time to put things together.
I think we have to reframe this year. I think we have to let Canada know that you're our fashion icon, because I mean, no one's delivering the hits like you. It's true.
And I would say my favorite look from any of the CSAs was the year that I think I was nominated for Sort of, and I wore this metallic bodice by Rebecca Baker-Grenier, and I was just like, I think my best friend was in the audience because it was just so beautiful with that leopard print skirt. And she said, when you came out, she's like, I think the woman next to me gasped. And I was like, that is the best compliment I have ever had in my whole life. I literally took somebody's breath away. I am done. And so I'm gonna try to get back to something because it was so audacious. It was so cool. And it was copper. It was like literally like metallic. I loved it.
Cool. There's nothing better than a moment like that. That's as good as a trophy. Hey, that's just
truly, yeah. I did not win that night, so that's all I took home was that woman's gasp, and I still have it.
Put it on a shelf just beside the trophy. Write it on a sheet of paper. Honestly, it's a win. It's a win. I love it. I can't wait to see what you wear this year, future years, because you are so iconic. I love when people bring the fashion to the Canadian Screen Awards because it is our biggest night, and it's the night to do it.
It's the night to do it. Yeah, it's all the stars are out, and why not? Why not? Because like, what is you're on that red carpet, and you're literally just looking at everybody in terms of like who's wearing what, and it's such pleasure for your eyes, for your soul, and it's like, what other occasion do we have as Canadian artists to celebrate everyone's hard work and achievements other than that night? And so
it's a special one.
Yeah.
Going back to the heated rivalry of it all, because you're right, this will be the year, regardless of domination, this is going to be the year of heated rivalry at the Canadian Screen Awards. But Hudson, as we were saying before we started, got his acting start on screen with you on Allegiance. Crazy. What do you actually remember from working with him? Or did it all kind of come back to you as heated rivalry blew up?
No, I mean, obviously, I think as heated rivalry was blowing up, everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's Hudson! It's Hudson!" Like Hudson is the lead in the show, and I remember when he was on set because he had to do this strange sort of Surrey boy accent. Surrey Jack, I think, is the term, and he's a Kelowna boy, and so I remember this kid, and he was just like. Yeah, he was great. He was grounded. He was in it. He'd done his work. And one of the producers, I remember watching him, and he was like, "That kid's a star." And lo and behold, here we are. And he's so good in heated rivalry. He's just like, he's he embodies that character so well, and you can't help but fall in love with him. And it's just, yeah, he's a joy to watch, and it's so fun to see these two out and about at the awards shows and all the events, and it's just, yeah, it's so well deserved.
They're eating it up. They're really bringing Canada to the world.
At it, there's all
It's
the
effortless.
it looks effortless, all the TikToks, all the things, and I was like, oh God, you guys make it look so easy. Yeah.
And you know how hard it is. I mean, the amount of TikToks and social videos you film to promote Allegiance, I feel like you're all over my For You page, and I'm like, man, oh man, they've got you doing every trend out here.
I know, it's like a second job. It's in between takes. Yeah, can we do a TikTok? Can we grab this? Can we grab a soundbite? Can we do this? And it's, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And
But
I feel
it's
like
also fun because I think that you get to share, I mean, especially with Sabrina, the show is so serious and the subject matter is so serious that you really do get to see a different side of everyone. My favorite one that we did, I think, was the coffee one.
yes, I loved the coffee one.
Oh my God, it was so good because I got all the boys to do it, and they were like,
Yes.
shake your bum a little as you walk away. And it was just like, okay. But then we cut it together. It was so good. Yeah.
It turned out so good.
So funny. He was like, I don't know what this is. That's true.
The trust that they have in you to lead them through the TikToks. I feel like from what I've seen from set going into shooting season 3, you guys had a lot of fun making this season. I've seen birthdays, I've seen holidays, I feel like you guys have a really good environment behind the
Generally, we do.
scenes.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. From it starts from the top with the producers and the writers and the crew. Everybody's wonderful and they're happy to be there. And we have, I would say, like 99% of an all Canadian crew. And I think that it's a different vibe on set when it's a Canadian production versus like when it's a U.S. production that's come in to take advantage of the lower dollar or the resources or whatever. It just feels like everyone's a little bit more invested and cares about each other a little bit more. It doesn't feel like it's, like a machine or a factory in terms of just like churning it out. We take time to talk to each other and get to know each other, about each other's families, about each other's days. And it really does feel like a family.
Oh, isn't that wonderful to hear? We need more of that in the Canadian TV network. I mean, how many shows even get a season 3 right now? I was just so happy for you guys to be able to go back at all.
I know it's really nice to be able to continue growing this story, living in this world, growing these characters, getting to know everybody a little bit better, and especially this season, I feel like, especially with the arcs that Vince's character has and Zach Kalani has, and we get to know these men, and they're soft and they're vulnerable, and it's so beautiful to work across from them and have them have the space in the story, because so many first seasons and second seasons are all about the main character so I feel like when a series grows, that's when you get to invest in the other characters, and so it's been really lovely to see.
Yes. Oh, you read my mind. This is exactly what I want to get into with you, because I have loved this season so much. I feel like so invested in the stakes of this season, maybe more than season 1 and 2, which I didn't even know was going to be possible for me. But you're right. The plot this season is juicy for everybody. It's not just one story. We've got jail. We've got this, I don't know if you think it's a love triangle, but in my house, we certainly are watching you 3 as a love triangle. Oh my God.
Zach, Nate, Sabrina.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a triangle for sure.
Okay. Okay, T.
Sammer too, like who you can't help but fall in love with him. Like he's just such a wonderful human, and so he makes it easy. And also, Andreas, who plays Nate Brugman, is also they're just such lovely individuals, and so I can't choose.
I'm so happy for you that you have such a great love triangle to be in the middle of.
With these beautiful, handsome, talented men. It's nice.
It's so good. And okay, I especially loved episode 3, so I want to jump into episode 3 and everything that we saw. Okay, I don't want to pick a favorite episode from the whole series, but I will say that is the episode where I think I screamed the most, because it was just the wig. You ate it up. You absolutely ate it up. Can you walk me through that episode specifically and what it brought out in Sabrina, what it brought out in you?
So that episode was written by JP LaRock, which interestingly enough, JP also wrote on Sort of. And so they really wanted to explore a storyline, about a community that we haven't had insight into before. And so I can't speak for them, but I think that that's where the sex worker angles sort of met police, and we could find a story. And then it was about I did a little bit of research in terms of, I reached out to somebody who works undercover. It was so interesting in terms of like what her process was for building story, and because you kind of have to have nerves of steel, I think, to go undercover. And not that Sabrina was doing what that particular police officer does, which I think is wild. Which, if we can talk about for a second, I mean, this woman goes undercover and will act like she's like somebody that they're investigating, their girlfriend, or she'll go in and be like a cop's girlfriend into like this world. And it's just like, I don't want to talk too much about what they do because it's
Keep it safe. Keep it safe for
yeah,
them.
yeah, but it's kind of wild. Like the one that surprised me, where she was telling me that like they staged an entire wedding, like an entire undercover operative wedding, in order to get their mark or their guy. And I was like, oh my God, that's fascinating and how fun.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of great chats, which I think was just also more for me because it wasn't within the storyline. And then working with Kaylee, and she's just so wonderful, and an Ontario girl as well. And so yeah, it was, and finding that wig and that makeup, and April, who's my makeup artist on the show, we were just so excited to get to play with like eyeshadow and blush and all those things, because like, and frankly, like I was unrecognizable, Liz. Like it was so interesting because also like a strange, when you dress like that, like sort of boobs out, short skirt, blonde hair, it's so interesting because, to be frank, like I get treated a certain way on set, because I'm by virtue of being number one. By the men, by the women, it doesn't matter. It's just it would be the same if it wasn't me. It's just what number one represents on set. But because people didn't recognize me, it was so interesting to see that hierarchy of a set play out from a different perspective, because certain people thought I was background. Like it was and it was just and the treatment that I received and the looks that I received from some of the crew that were men, that was just diminishing. It was so strange. So much of when you're building a character is about power and class systems, and how does this person operate, and what do they receive, and what can they give back, and what sort of, and this character that I was playing was in such a low position of power, and it was so funny that when I dressed like that, that's exactly what I got put into in real life on our set, which was wild to experience. And like I'll give you a small example, and I'm sure she'll be like, why did you tell this story? But it was so funny because I kind of played into it, where I put on a little bit of a different voice, and this was not really for Sabrina, it was more so for Supinder, just being on set fucking around. And so I remember going up to one of our exec producers, because they were standing by Video Village, and they hadn't seen me yet, and I sort of and the area that we were shooting in was, it was a harder area, so you had all sorts of characters floating around, and it was a night shoot, so it went late, and so I just sort of sidled up to them in this wig and makeup, and I was like, so what are you guys making a movie? And the producer, she was like, yeah, if you could just move along, please.
Oh my God. Well, that's also credit to how good of an actor you are. Let's just say that really quick.
Well, I think at this point it was just hair and makeup and costume. I don't really think I had said much other than what are you doing? And I was just like, it's me. And she was like, oh my God. But it's just, it was fascinating. It was like a social experiment.
Yeah.
It was pretty meta. And so, yeah, it was great. It was great. And the girls were great. And so, yeah.
What a oddly specific metaphor for this whole industry and what it can be like.
I know.
Right? Like I feel like you lived 1,000 different moments in that story in that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like at anytime those things happen, it's just like just gifts, in terms of okay, so this is how this woman gets treated as she walks through life. And so yeah, you live and you
Yeah.
learn, and it's really interesting, this career that I've chosen, in terms of being able to walk in so many different shoes.
Yes.
From somebody who's very wealthy. I'm trying to think if I feel like somebody who's very wealthy, but very wealthy. I'd like to go.
I understand what you're saying.
I'd like to get up there and see what it's like too. But yeah, it's a fascinating career in terms of what you get to learn about the world and your place in it.
Yeah.
And sort of by the grace of God, there go I. And so here we are.
Yeah. Especially a show like this where every single script, every single episode, you have brand new actors coming in. You have brand new people. You have there's such a churn of how much Sabrina deals with and how much we're exposed to as viewers just by the nature of how shows like this are set up. And I wonder, has there been an actor or a plot or a guest that's come on the show that's really stuck with you over the past 3 seasons of this is the story that made me rethink? Or is it the one we were just talking about?
Oh, gosh, there have been so many wonderful actors. It's always interesting in terms of the actors who book the parts and sort of their closeness to the storyline.
Yeah.
I remember, and I'll give you a couple examples. I remember even in this episode, one of the performers, we just got to chatting on set, and interestingly enough, she worked quite closely within the sex work industry. She wasn't a sex worker, but close to it. And I was like, oh, fascinating that when casting is happening, we're seeing elements of people. And there was this, in season 1, there was an episode, we had an actress and it was dealing with teenage suicide. And she had somebody, one of her close friends, who lost their child to teenage suicide. And so interesting in terms of the stories we choose to tell and the people who find their ways to our sets to help us tell them. And there's an element of magic in a certain way that I don't know if it exists in different careers. I think it's a really interesting thing when you choose to make art and you have all of this energy sort of siphoned through one place, and I feel like it kind of calls out to humans who know that particular thing, whether it's to be more accurate or to heal or to I don't know what it is, but I don't know that I'm very religious, or I'll say that I'm spiritual, but not to the extreme. But it has been really fascinating what I found. I'll give you an example, which is totally off tangent.
Please.
But when I first, the story to this day still blows my mind. I remember when I first started acting, and I was in this acting class, and I was doing a scene from this short play called Spectre. And in it, it's kind of a familiar story that we know. There's a young woman, she's standing in the middle of the road, she's in all white, and it's like pissing rain, and I was playing the young woman, and this professor, he's driving down the street, down this road, and so he doesn't hit her, he swerves, and they end up in a ditch, and she climbs into his car, and sort of, we don't know if she's a ghost or whatever, and she says something like, the story that she gives is that her and her boyfriend got into a fight, and she got out of the car, and she chose to walk home. And I remember, I was so deeply invested in this play, and I went home. I was living in Ottawa at the time, and I went home to Toronto to visit my parents, and I went to see my friends or whatever, and I was driving home one night, and this was in February or something, and there was this young woman waiting at a bus stop. She had no coat, and it was freezing outside. And so I pulled over, I rolled down my window, and I asked her, I was like, do you need a ride? And she said, yeah, it's freezing. She's waiting for the bus and she has no coat and it's February. And she gets into the car and I said, hey, is everything okay? And I kid you not, she was like, well, me and my boyfriend got into a fight and I got out of the car and I'm just like choosing and it was pretty much the exact story that I was doing in this play, in this class. And it was so strange. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of energies. Just like when we as humans decide to tell a story or to invest our energies into a particular thing, I think we become a magnet, like in a weird way, for whatever it is that we need or whatever the universe is trying to do to find us. And so like it's just a small example from my own personal experience of how you just draw things towards you. And so without giving you a specific example to answer your question, I think that I have so many moments in being an artist and on this show in terms of the people who come to help us tell our stories and, sort of the authenticity that exists.
I have goosebumps.
I
have goosebumps.
Me too. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Why?
I totally believe in the universe operating like that. So I am on the same wavelength as you right now. I totally believe that we are put in the stories and the places at the time we're meant to be there. And it's just, oh my God, I have goosebumps listening to this. Yes. So I guess in that vein, is there like a truth that Sabrina has or like a moment that Sabrina has that you felt like, wow, I'm really like proud that I'm the one that gets to tell this moment, this line, this truth in the show?
I think, in the first episode, Sabrina has this line that she hears from another character where, for this season anyway, she says, I didn't come this far to only come this far.
I wrote that down in my notes. Oh my God. I had to pause the show when you said that. Ah, yes.
Yeah, it was such a good line. And I think that rings true for me at this moment. Just in terms of like, I'd always aspired to be the lead on a show, but up until Allegiance, it wasn't an opportunity that my career had afforded me. And so I think that being able to live in Sabrina's shoes for a little bit and have some of that imposter syndrome myself and really, trying to figure out who I am as an actor and an artist and what do I want to bring. And then also, adding to it in terms of winning that Canadian Screen Award and then being in the company that puts me in, and I'm so in awe. I mean, Tatiana Maslany, I remember when she won that for Orphan Black, and I was just like, am I in the same league as Tatiana Maslany? I'm like mind blown. That's just one example. And so, so I think that shedding some of that imposter syndrome and being like, no, I do deserve to be here and I have the skill set and, and I enjoy it. And so I think, that was that line in terms of just for me as a Canadian artist, as Sabrina, that, I didn't come this far, don't come this far.
Well, I felt it through the screen when you said that. Like I said, I had to fully pause the show when you said it. I was like so out of my body. I think we're so lucky to have you. We're so lucky it's you that's our Sabrina. I don't think anyone else could do it.
Oh, well, I have no idea. It's casting is, kind of mercurial that way. But I'm also very happy to be here.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. So our subscribers send in questions for all of our interviews, and I picked one for you from someone who's been subscribed to the show for longer than I think anybody else, who is probably Allegiance's #1 fan. He sent in a video, so I'm going to make sure you can hear this, but I'd love to play this for you and see what you think.
Okay, Prasanna.
Yes, yes.
Hi, Supinder. My name is Prasanna, and I'm a producer, accessibility advisor, and a founding board member of the Disability Screen Office in Canada. I absolutely love the show, and your performance as Sabrina is incredible. What I love the most about Allegiance as a South Asian person is that I feel so seen and so reflected. As someone who is so connected to my culture and faith, and as someone who is also navigating a workplace and world where I'm often treated as the other, your performance as Sabrina is both worlds colliding and world building. Because through your work, you so beautifully carve out the path that so many of us navigate. I would be so curious to learn if playing Sabrina, who moves through so many different spaces and builds that world of her own, has helped you more deeply understand your own journey as a South Asian artist in an industry that is not always the most open or inclusive. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's such a great question. It's such a difficult question. Prasanna, thank you so much for giving us that insight into your experience, and then also asking a question that I think will, hopefully help people other than just yourself. And for me, I think it's done a lot in terms of, Liz, what you and I were talking about me saying, well, I never really saw myself represented. And so I didn't know how I was, even though I had this dream, how I was ever going to be the lead on a Canadian series. And so I think in that it's given me confidence. I think it's also given me insight into not being afraid to advocate for myself and my voice. Mm-hmm. I think that what's been really interesting when you're a part of something that is so large and people who look like you and come from your background haven't been there before is, there's an element of teaching that's involved in a certain way. And I know that there's lots of mindsets about that in terms of, who should that burden of teaching somebody who doesn't know something fall on. But I do think that what I've learned is to advocate for myself and to not be embarrassed about the things that people don't know about me that I have to explain or tell or sometimes fight for. The Punjabi language being, a big one for me in terms of how it's spoken and represented within the show. And so I don't know if that completely answers the question, because the question is so large and all encompassing. But I do think that for for people of color, for people from minority backgrounds, and wherever those sort of intersections exist, whether you're in a position of somebody being a lead on a show or whether you're advocating for a position like that for yourself, I think to not discount the things that are very specific to you. I think that that's how the world changes. And so it's scary sometimes because you have to be braver than maybe you have been asked to be before, but it's also worth it for what you can find on the other side.
One thing I've loved about Sabrina this season is how much more of her life we've seen. We've seen her as a daughter. We've seen her as a romantic interest. We've seen her try to have fun playing pool at the bar. Like, we've really seen her, attempt all these different areas of her life outside of just her work. And I wonder, knowing that you know the end of this season and we don't, and I'm not trying to pull a spoiler from you, I'm not trying to spoil where we're going, but what's your hope for Sabrina as she moves forward, as she's trying to, stretch the boundaries of who she is as a person?
Well, I think that this season for Sabrina has really been about vulnerability, about opening herself up to Nate, to Zach, to Vince, to her father, to her family. And so this is difficult to answer because I sort of know where it takes her. But I guess my hope for Sabrina, especially given where we end season 3, is that I hope she'll be okay, because there are some hard times coming. And she's made the decision to put that badge back on and be a part of this force. But it's not easy. It's not easy, especially given the obstacles she'll have to face on the inside. Not the cases, but the people that she works with.
Let my girl go on vacation. I need her in a Christmas special. Let her go down south for an episode. Let my girl have a break for 5 minutes.
The best, yes. Sabrina needs a vacation. Let's do that show where it's just Sabrina in a warm locale.
I'm sending you and the cops from St. Pierre all to an island together for like a day. Let's do it.
Please. It'll be like our crossover episode,
Yes.
like on a different coast, a warm
I
coast.
love it.
Well, the other thing I think is really interesting for everyone to know is that we have new showrunners this season. So if you said, earlier that the season felt a little bit different, it felt that you were attached to the storylines in a different way, it's because originally we had Steph Morgenstern and Mark Ellis running the show, who, viewers will know from Flashpoint. And this season we have two new showrunners, two women, Lee Lukens and Penny Gummerson. And so, I do think that when we have, two strong women leading the show, also two strong women that come from such a strong procedural background. Lee wrote on Rookie Blue for years, amongst many other procedurals, and Penny wrote on SkyMed and is an Indigenous woman herself. So some of the storylines, she's pulling from lived experience of people she knows and loves. And so I do feel like, there's like a strong feminine energy this season that has been really nice to embrace.
That makes so many things make sense to me. No shade to previous seasons, but this season is hitting so different. I feel like we're in it now. I feel like we're all in it with you guys. I love to hear it.
Yeah,
So good.
it was really exciting to shoot for that reason.
Oh my God, I want to thank Supinder for joining us on this episode. I love her down. I hope she decides to come back. And I'm not jinxing anything with the Canadian Screen Award nominations, but I am saying season 2 of Allegiance was really that girl, okay? So I'm hoping that we will see some big nominations for Allegiance this year. And there's lots of other great Canadian TV shows that we're going to be hearing from very soon on the pod. I'm excited for you to see everything I've been cooking up for you behind the scenes. Ooh, there's great TV for us to be watching right now. So whether you're spending your weekend watching something on the big screen, or you're going to binge watch something from home, or catch up on some Olympics, or scream at your TV like I know I will be. There's no way you can tear me away from Olympic hockey right now. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. I will see you Saturday night. One of the most special interviews I have ever had the pleasure of shooting, you guys. I'm so excited for you to see this one that I've been cooking up for you since December. I'm so excited for you to see this next conversation, this next sit down. It's going to be a very, very special episode. You're not going to want to miss it. So I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.